Well, ladies and gentlemen, this might just be my last video. This might be the one that gets me banned. I don't know. I don't even care anymore. You know, December 13th, new policies kicking in. I'll probably lose my YouTube channel anyway. But shout out to Earthling Carl for retweeting this on Twitter, for bringing it to my attention. Originally, I was just going to respond to his tweet, to Sacha Baron Cohen's tweet, but I actually listened to the entire speech he gave before the Anti-Defamation League, and I can't do this. I don't know if I'm going to go too far, but I'm going to play this and I'm going to react to it because I need to. I need to vent. And I need someone to hear me venting. I've been screaming for the last hour and a half over this, so I'm just going to play it and I'm going to talk a little bit. Prepare to get mad.
Thank you very much. Thanks for everyone who stood up. Unnecessary, but very flattering. Thank you, Jonathan, for your very kind words. Thank you, the Anti-Defamation League, for this recognition and your...
By the way, when he says thank you, Jonathan, he's referring to Jonathan Greenblatt, the leader of the ADL.
...work in fighting racism, hate, and bigotry. And to be clear, when I say racism, hate, and bigotry, I'm not referring to the names of Stephen Miller's Labradoodles.
Oh, isn't that funny? Get it? Because Stephen Miller's a racist. Get it? Not this guy who's made a living off making movies, making racist jokes and edgy humor about literally every race and every group. Oh yeah, it includes his own, sure. But it's also aimed at white people, at black people, and all sorts of different people. About Muslims, who his people have... I'm going to talk enough about that, but you get the idea. The idea this guy's going to take shots at Stephen Miller, excuse me? Fuck you. Fuck you.
Now, I realize that some of you may be thinking, what the hell is a comedian doing speaking at a conference like this? I certainly am.
I'm not thinking that because I know your ethnic background.
I've spent most of the past 2 decades in character. In fact, this is the first ever time that I've stood up and given a speech as my least popular character, Sacha Baron Cohen.
And yeah, you're about to see why, because you're a terrible person.
And I have to confess, it is terrifying. I realize that my presence here may also be unexpected for another reason. At times, some critics have said my comedy risks reinforcing old stereotypes. The truth is, I've been passionate about challenging bigotry and intolerance throughout my life. As a teenager in England, I marched against the fascist National Front and to abolish apartheid. As an undergraduate, I traveled around America and wrote my thesis about the civil rights movement with the help of the archives of the ADL. And as a comedian, I've tried to use my characters to get people to let down their guard and reveal...
So, he's going to talk about revealing prejudice here, but I just want to point out that everything he just mentioned was in the interest of his tribe. If you look at who the most wealthy and powerful people in South Africa is, you won't be surprised. The Stryker and Enoch have done a video about that. They go over Orania and all these people that are these billionaires in South Africa that are stoking the flames of racial hatred there. Same people that are doing it here, same people that are doing it in America and Britain and Canada. It's the same usual suspects. So the idea that you're some big human rights crusader because you do what all you fucking people have always done. You've been behind all these things. Of course you're supporting it. Of course you... And to cloak that... Oh, I'm not racist. I've partaken in all of the Jewish human rights movements over the last several years. I've been protesting the evil white man. So I'm an anti-racist. Fuck you. Okay? Your video... Let me talk about this for a second. Talk about Borat. I brought this up. This is an article because this guy likes to say, "Oh, I'm not a racist." By the ADL's own standard, they would shut down anything like this. People have protested over Justin Trudeau's blackface, and the ADL's written articles about what fucking Halloween costumes white people are allowed to wear. They're the ones that dox people and try to ruin their lives for simply, organizing politically. They will release people's personal information with the sole purpose to destroy them. But this is a guy who wrote an article about Borat a couple of years ago. He's someone that claims to have worked with Cohen before, and it says, but not all Kazakhs felt that way. This is talking about people that liked the movie. Not all Kazakhs felt that way. After the character was introduced onto Al Edgy show, his website was blocked in Kazakhstan. A year ago, I met a Kazakh fitness instructor who worked at a gym in New York City when Borat film was released in 2006. He said that that he was in a Manhattan crowd just a couple of steps away from Baron Cohen during the film's premiere. And our guy very much wanted to beat the actor up because he was outraged by the portrayal of Kazakhstan. We've since laughed about the story. He told me how he calmed down and realized it would be a PR disaster for our people if he did. Interesting phrasing there. We laughed about it and realized that it would be a PR nightmare if we did. Why is that? Is it because the media's, I think you know why. Maybe the most angry Kazakhs in 2006 were students in the UK and US. Okay, so people that were born there or living there understood the language. They were pissed off about it. They understood the movie, but their non-Kazakh peers on campus did not. Their fellow students were sure that the movie showed the real Kazakhstan. So people are really fucking I don't really believe that, but and then there's yes. Yeah, this is one I like this paragraph. And of course, the government began various efforts to change the PR narrative. I was involved in that work several times, and I can say that absolutely all high-ranking officials in Kazakhstan understood that they should not be offended by the movie. The main objective was discussed. The main objective they discussed was how to exploit such an unexpected spotlight on their country. So, in other words, this poor country was trying to figure out how to capitalize on a movie made about their country, grossing. It was like the highest grossing mockumentary of all time. Did make a lot of money. So, the fact that the government was trying to figure out how to profit from this financially proves that they weren't offended by it. Okay. Bullshit. They're just poor. And then there's this website, which was created by civilians in Kazakhstan. It's in broken English. But they're furious. They're pissed about this. And everything on this website is about how terrible Borat is. Here are pictures of them, people against Borat, protesting in the fucking streets against this movie. Oh, but it's all jokes, guys. We didn't offend anybody. We're not racist. This guy has made, and I want to point out, this guy is talking about shutting down hate in the West, shutting down hate on the internet. You've made $130 million off making racist jokes. That's all you fucking do. That's all your humor. It's shitty. Outside of the racist humor, his jokes are dog shit. He makes reference to one of his jokes on the Ali G show where he asked Buzz Aldrin about walking on the sun. That's fucking dumb. You're fucking dumb if you laugh at that. But that's what this guy does. That's what he does. He makes racist jokes and then he justifies it by saying, "Oh, I'm actually exposing the racism of the people who are stupid enough to laugh at me." Okay, fuck you.
Feel what they actually believe, including their own prejudice. Now, I'm not going to claim that everything I've done has been for a higher purpose.
You can't.
Some of my comedy, probably half my comedy has been absolutely juvenile.
Interesting phrasing.
And the other half completely puerile. But
right.
I admit there was nothing particularly enlightening about me as Borat from Kazakhstan, the first fake news.
Nothing enlightening about you at all. So it's funny when he engages in flagrantly racist behavior that provokes an entire nation. That's just juvenile. People say I'm juvenile. But the ADL, if you make any sort of joke that they don't like, or even have mild dissident opinions they don't like, the ADL are the ones that had InfoWars censored. They're the ones that wanted Gavin McGinnis kicked off of YouTube. They're the ones responsible for the purgings in June. They're responsible for people like James Alsop and Red Ice losing their channels despite never violating any of the community guidelines. Okay, so let's just get that off the fucking table.
journalist, running through a conference of mortgage brokers while I was completely naked. But when Borat was able to get an entire bar in Arizona to sing, "Throw the jewel down the well," it did reveal people's indifference to anti-Semitism. When, as Bruno, the gay fashion reporter from Austria, I started kissing a man in a cage fight in Arkansas, nearly starting a riot, it showed the violent potential of homophobia. And when disguised as an ultra-woke developer, I proposed building a mosque in one rural community, prompting a resident to proudly admit, "I am racist against Muslims," it showed the growing acceptance of Islamophobia.
In other words, you use your films to try to trap white people into saying things that you can use to smear the rest of us. In other words, and I love that. That's a good still frame of this fucking retard. It looks like he's having a stroke. But you know, it's just amazing. You just admit, yeah, I sometimes film groups of white people so that I can smear the rest of their race with their racist views. Oh God, you're so Islamophobic. You're so racist. You're homophobic. Oh God, you know, you're the one making the joke. You're the one doing this. I used to make jokes with my German friend singing that Borat song. We used to sing that all the time, and you know what? This guy, maybe I should just play it. Maybe I'll just play it. He's going to explain why it's funny.
That's why I really appreciate
Which, you know, I love it when a comic explains to me why a joke's funny.
the opportunity to be here with you. Today, around the world, demagogues appeal to our worst instincts. Conspiracy theories, once confined to the fringe, are going mainstream. It's as if the age of reason, the era of evidential argument, is ending. And now knowledge is increasingly delegitimized and scientific consensus is dismissed. Democracy, which depends on shared truths, is in retreat, and autocracy, which depends on shared lies, is on the march.
That has been the case for the last 100 years, and you got it backwards, buddy. It's people like you spreading disinformation. Oh yeah, all those conspiracy theorists. You know, Stryker and Borzoi did a video. You can't see it now because, you know, ironically, they were censored. Their channel doesn't have any videos now. All their videos had to be deleted because the ADL came after them because they reached like 10,000 subs. They did a video going through the ADL's list of white right-wing terrorist attacks, and most of them they even admit were either, you know, people who are mentally ill. Some of them even overtly say this was not political in any way, and they still include it. They still include it in their numbers. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about any of that. They don't care. That's not relevant to them. They just want their numbers. They just want to smear white people. That's all they want to do. That's their entire organization's purpose. You know, so it's just this just infuriates me. You know, you're gonna go on about anyway, you know. These people are just disgusting.
Hate crimes are surging, as are murderous attacks on religious and ethnic minorities. Now, what do all these dangerous trends have in common?
Again, it's actually not surging. These are hoaxes. There have been so many fucking hoaxes over the last few years, and they've been exposed over and over and over. There was just a recent one that was one of the chancellors admitted in Syracuse just the other day. My buddy Bad Guy Productions on Twitter. He posted it, and then the next fucking day after he tweeted that, I tweeted back at him a CBS report saying, Chancellor says this is probably a hoax. The cops think it's bullshit. Again, we called it because it's so predictable at this point. They staged so many of these to try to boost up these numbers. They gaslight people like the Brewer couple. I believe that was in Indiana or Illinois. I think I've talked about this in a video before. Stryker and David Duke talked about this in a video. They talked about it in a video which was removed. Poseidon re-uploaded it, and then I think it was taken down either at the same time of his channel or taken down separately. But yeah, they kept taking down this video where these guys are talking about how Stryker brought up the fact that the FBI gaslit a young couple, a 17-year-old girl who was abused. They knew she was abused into committing a so-called hate crime, which amounted to drawing a swastika across from a synagogue, not even on it. And they tried to convict these people over it because the ADL has been pressuring the FBI to get them the hate crimes that they want, to get them the stats so that they can use these stats to vilify white people, and they're pissed that they're not getting them. So they're manufacturing crimes against us. The police are staging domestic terrorism against the people to appease the Anti-Defamation League.
I'm just a comedian and an actor. I'm not a scholar, but one thing is pretty clear to me. All this hate and violence is being facilitated by a handful of internet companies that amount to the greatest propaganda machine in history. The greatest propaganda machine in history. Let's think about it. Facebook.
Right, the greatest propaganda machine in history. Not Hollywood. Not Hollywood. Not all the major companies that are putting out every blockbuster Hollywood movie that produce all the Netflix shows that people are consuming. All of the media. Think about the baby boomers. Think about the baby boomers. This is an entire generation. The first generation and every subsequent generation after it has been raised on television and media controlled by people like Jonathan Greenblatt and Sacha Baron Cohen. Okay? Think about that. But they're going to complain that social media platforms that don't produce anything, they don't produce any content of their own supporting political agendas. They simply allow the average person to speak their mind. They are the ones that are the big propagandists. Okay, let's have him explain this.
Facebook, YouTube, and Google, Twitter, and others, they reach billions of people. The algorithms these platforms depend on deliberately amplify the type of content that keeps users engaged. Stories that appeal to our baser instincts and that trigger outrage and fear. It's why YouTube recommended videos by the conspiracist Alex Jones billions of times. It's why fake news
Yeah, and now he's censored. He was banned by everything all at once. How is it that all these tech companies, since they're all disjointed and have nothing in common, how is it that they all managed to collaborate in censoring him all at once so that he couldn't even get out the message that he was being censored? That's what they did to him. They suffocated his channel. They suffocated his brand. And he came back with his own website, and kudos to him for building that up. They did the same thing with Gavin McInnes. But fuck you, we're banning you. That's all. That's, again, and this guy, it's not enough. It's not enough because you're not getting the results you want. Because no matter how much these companies capitulate to people like you and the ADL, it doesn't produce the solutions that you want. You want to be able to stomp out any voice of dissent whatsoever. But because we're so powerful and you can't do that, even with all the support on your side, you're still bitching. You're still complaining. And it really shows your agenda and your slimy, disgusting bias here.
Performs real news because studies show that lies spread faster than truth. And it's no surprise that the greatest propaganda machine in history has spread the oldest conspiracy theory in history, the lie that Jews are somehow dangerous.
Yeah, that's the most dangerous conspiracy. That's the worst one, That's the worst. I mean, how could you think that? How could you think that? Ben Shapiro just admitted, maybe, it was a bit of a slip there, but you might remember he admitted that people of the tribe occupy all of the advisory positions around Donald Trump. But that's not, and they're pushing him toward a war with Iran. That's not dangerous. You could look at the clean break memo. You could look at the Iraq war, the intelligence that was used to dupe the American public into that. You could look up a certain documentary by Mr. Ryan Dawson about a certain event in September, I believe, back in 2001. Yeah, but these people aren't dangerous. How could you think that? How could you think these people are dangerous? They're not dangerous. It's not like they've subverted institutions and governments and have pushed for culturally and racially destructive policies for literally 100 years. That's not dangerous.
As one headline put it, just think what Goebbels could have done with Facebook.
Yeah, I'm sure he really needed Facebook.
Everything can appear equally legitimate. Breitbart resembles the BBC.
Imagine what you could do with Facebook. Imagine what the ADL... Oh shit, what's this? No, go away. Imagine what the ADL could do with Facebook if they weren't lying pieces of shit with no credibility. You know, this video, at the time of making it, you'll notice 503 views, 4.11 thousand subscribers. What? What? 4.11. So 4,110. Is that what that is? I don't know. I don't know what that is. 4.11k subscribers. Shouldn't it be 400. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck that means. But anyway, you know what is this? You have no engagement. Nobody is listening to you. You're a multi-million-dollar civil rights organization and no one's listening to you. Why is that? Is it because no one fucking likes you? Is it because you're a disgusting organization and everyone hates you? Maybe that's why all the comments are turned off and the ratios are disabled. Huh.
And look as valid as an ADL report. And the rantings of a lunatic seem as credible as the findings of a Nobel Prize winner. We have lost, it seems, a shared sense of basic facts upon which democracy depends. When I, as the wannabe gangster Ali G, asked the astronaut Buzz Aldrin, what was it like to walk on the sun? The joke worked because we, the audience, shared the same facts. If you believe the moon landing was a hoax, the joke doesn't work. When Borat got that bar and
Yeah, that's actually not true. That's not why it's. First of all, that joke's not funny, but it would still be. How do you know it's not funny to someone who doesn't believe in the moon landing? Have you done a consensus on that? How do you know that? I'm sure that people who don't believe in the moon landing, or people that don't believe in the moon itself, would still laugh at that because they understand the premise that you're working from. What makes things funny is when there's a nugget of truth. He will never say that because many of his jokes that are racist, you know, like the throw the blank down the well. I'm going to say it because they'll probably ban me for saying it. But the reason why people laughed at that song is not because it's absurd to think that a certain group of people are stealing our money and and ruining our society. No, it's funny because on a visceral level, people understand that it is true. People understand that the nature of certain people is a certain way, and so jokes adhering to like if I said black people can't drive, if I made a joke about black people not being able to drive, it would fall flat because that's not the stereotype. The stereotype is of Asians not being able to drive. So if I made a joke about that, that could be funny. You understand? It's about truth. It's about identifying with truth. It's why trolls tend to be right-wing today, whereas they used to be left-wing 10 years ago. I remember being a left-wing troll, and we had the truth on our side in many cases. In the times that we didn't, we got our asses kicked. That's how this works, idiot.
Arizona to agree that Jews control everybody's money and they never give it back. The joke worked because the audience shared the fact that the depiction of Jews as miserly is a conspiracy theory originating in the Middle Ages.
Right.
But when,
no,
to social media,
I don't think I don't even think that originated in the Middle Ages. I think that's been I think that's what people have thought forever of your people. Yeah, no, that's not.
Take hold. It is easier for hate groups to recruit, easier for foreign intelligence agencies to interfere in our elections.
Like Mossad, Epstein, hello, Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, that beggars belief. Foreign intervention in our governments. You mean like the Anti-Defamation League? You mean like the organization that you're speaking for?
And easier for a country like Myanmar to commit genocide against the Rohingya.
Or some might say a country like Israel committing genocide against the Palestinians. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to say that, am I? I'm not allowed to say that. That's hateful, isn't it? It's hateful to talk about people being slaughtered in mass and having their children shot for target practice and having white phosphorus dropped on. I'm sorry, is that a conspiracy theory? I mean, I've seen videos of it actually happening. I remember seeing the videos of it happening, but maybe my eyes deceive me. Maybe it's all just a lie. I'll believe your hyper-reality, Cohen. Just amazing.
Now, it's actually quite shocking how easy it is to turn conspiracy thinking into violence. In my last show, Who is America, I found an educated, normal guy who had held down a good job, but who, on social media repeated many of the conspiracy theories that President Trump, using Twitter, has spread more than 1,700 times to his 67 million Twitter followers. The president even tweeted that he was considering designating Antifa, who are anti-fascists who march against the far right, as a terror organization.
Yeah, march, beat people, dox people, harass people, and it's not just the far right asshole. They've gone after people even on the left. Fuck. Everyone knows this. Everyone who isn't part of Antifa hates Antifa. Do you understand that, Cohen? Anyone who's not one of your tribe hates Antifa. So let's just get that out of the fucking way. But do you understand what he's saying right there? Okay, let me just go a little bit further. You'll understand. Keep that Trump thing in mind. He says, I found a man who was following Trump on Twitter and retweeting all of his conspiracy theories. What relevance does that have?
So, disguised as an Israeli anti-terrorism expert, Colonel Eran Morad, yalla, let's go. Disguised as him, I told my interviewee that at the Women's March in San Francisco, Antifa were plotting to put hormones into babies' diapers in order to make them transgender. And this man believed it. I instructed him to plant small devices on 3 innocent people at the march and explained that when he pushed a button, he'd trigger an explosion that would kill them all. They weren't real explosives, of course, but he thought they were. I wanted to see, would he actually do it? The answer was yes. He pushed the button and thought he had actually killed 3 human beings. Voltaire was right when he said, those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities.
Okay, so you understand the implication of that? He's saying a man who follows Donald Trump on Twitter, who retweets his conspiracy theories, was coaxed by an Israeli. Ironically, why is he trusting an Israeli counterintelligence agent, Sacha? Why is he trusting a foreign? That's a little bit strange. But you goaded this man who's a Trump follower and into conspiracy theories into committing a fake terrorist attack to prove that these people are dangerous, right? Okay. First of all, I've seen your show, fucker, and I don't believe that that was some organic thing. I think you staged that, as you stage most of your encounters, because it's so obvious. If you watch the actual show, I've only watched like 3 or 4 episodes of it. It's not very good, but you can tell that these are people who have been coached. You can tell these are, most of the time, they're actors or they're politicians that have been heavily prepped to give the response that he wants. They're people that are playing along. At some point, they just completely break character and just start having fun with it. Like that NRA supporter that was just doing like a kid's commercial. It was obvious that the guy was playing into the joke. He's not that stupid, but it was a joke. You understand? And he shouldn't have done that, by the way, because this guy will throw the NRA and anyone who's actually, pro-America under the bus. He's throwing the whole country down the drain. He's disgusting. And then he talks about Oscar Wilde. Let me just rewind that a little bit.
Voltaire was right when he said, those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities.
Oh, do you mean like the Iraq War? Do you mean like the war in Afghanistan? Do you mean like the bombing of Syria? Do you mean like the overthrow of Gaddafi and the re-implementation of chattel slavery in Libya? Do you mean atrocities like that? Who spread that propaganda? Who made us believe in those lies?
And social media lets authoritarians push absurdities to billions of people. Now, in their defense, these social media companies have taken some steps to reduce hate and conspiracies on their platforms, but these steps have been mainly superficial. And I'm talking about this today because I believe that our pluralistic democracies are on a precipice, and then the next 12 months and the role of social media could be determinant. Now, British voters will go to the polls while online conspiracists promote the despicable theory of the Great Replacement.
Oh.
That white Christians are being deliberately replaced by Muslim immigrants.
Interesting that you, Muslim immigrants. Yeah, Interesting that he calls that a conspiracy. You know, you're not even allowed to talk about that on YouTube now. Henrik Palmer, before they were banned, even points out that, like, you can't use the R word. Don't use the R word on YouTube or they'll ban you. Like, but you can talk about it. You can talk about it on YouTube. That's fine. All right, cool. You know, it's just, it beggars belief, man. It's disgusting. This guy is You know, it's not a conspiracy theorist when the UN has admitted that it's part of their agenda. And people have pointed this out. It's just absurd to call this a conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy theory, excuse me. But, you know, but we're the ones promoting
Americans
lies, right?
will vote for president while trolls and bots perpetuate the disgusting
Russian
lie
bots?
of a Hispanic invasion.
Oh, that's, yeah,
And after
totally.
years
Not
of
happening.
YouTube
Fake
videos
news,
calling
fake news.
climate change a hoax, the United States is on track a year from now to formally withdraw from the Paris Accords.
Oh, God.
A sewer of bigotry
Oh,
and
God.
foul conspiracy theories that threaten our democracy and to some degree our planet.
Yeah, people have pointed out that the Paris Accord makes, even if it accomplished what it says it would accomplish, it would have zero effect on the environment. It's not going to save you, even if you are a climate alarmist, as some would say. If you're like someone who's obsessed about, I'm not going to say environmentalist because I don't want to offend actual environmentalists by associating with these retards, but you understand what I'm saying? Like that was a wealth distribution scam from the United States to China and to other poor countries. It had nothing to do with the environment, and that's why Trump was pulling out. But of course, oh God, we gotta save the environment. If you want to know if climate change is real or not, just look at the fucking people that are promoting it. This guy, Greta Thunberg, these cocksuckers are the ones that are promoting it. So clearly it's bullshit. Fuck the science, okay? These people never tell the truth. Ever.
This can't possibly be what the creators of the internet had in mind. I believe
they didn't have
that
censorship
it's time
in
for a
mind.
fundamental
Yes.
rethink of social media and how it spreads hate, conspiracies, and lies.
Yeah, what they had in mind was this guy standing before the ADL telling everyone how they need to shut up and how we need more power over what you can say in
Now,
here.
last month,
That's what they had in mind.
however,
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook delivered a major speech that, not surprisingly, warned against new laws and regulations on companies like his. Well, some of these arguments are simply, pardon my French, bullshit.
Some of them?
Let's count the ways. First,
Not all of them.
Zuckerberg tried to portray this whole issue as choices around free expression. That is ludicrous. This is not about limiting anyone's free speech. This is about giving people, including some of the...
You are literally telling people they can't express certain opinions on platforms. And you're going to try to say that every platform is a publisher. Yes, you are.
most reprehensible people on earth, the biggest platform in history to reach a third of the planet. Freedom of speech is not freedom of reach. Sadly,
That's
there will
ridiculous.
always be racists, misogynists, anti-Semites, and child abusers. But I think...
If I don't have the freedom to reach people with my speech, what you're essentially saying is that you have the freedom of speech in theory as long as you can shut yourself into a closet where no one can ever hear you and scream as loudly as possible. Because that's what it amounts to. I mean, you could say that about shadow banning. Shadow banning was something on Twitter that came out, where Twitter was banning people but not telling them that they were banned, and their content would simply never reach anyone. In theory, shadow banning doesn't violate your free speech. You can scream as loudly as you want into the ethos, as long as no one hears you. Yeah, okay, fuck you.
We can all agree that we should not be giving bigots and pedophiles a free platform to amplify their views and target
Pedophiles
their
like who?
victims.
Like Jeffrey Epstein? Like the one, you know, like the Finders?
Second, Mark Zuckerberg claimed that new limits on what's posted on social media would be to pull back on free expression. This is utter nonsense. The First Amendment
Morris
says
Dees.
that, and I quote, Congress shall make no law abridging freedom of speech. However, this does not apply to private businesses like Facebook. We're not asking these companies to determine the boundaries of free speech across society. We just want them to be responsible on their platforms. Now, if a neo-Nazi
So in other words, we can't use the government because these laws are getting in our way. So we're going to pressure private companies. By the way, Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know if you know this, but Facebook heavily curates their content. I don't even use it anymore because I can't express any opinions without getting banned. So already it's very heavily curated. It's already bending over backward to do everything it can for the ADL. But Mark Zuckerberg, being the type of person he is, also wants to make money, which is why all of the ads, all the people, there's so many scams, so many bullshit Chinese knockoff companies on Facebook. That's what it's known for. You can't buy anything off any company advertised on Facebook because 99% of the time it's Chinese crap that they're charging you double for. Okay? Mark Zuckerberg does not stand behind his platform. He is sold out completely. There's so many egregious violations of people's privacy. He has sold the rights for private companies to look at your personal emails, your personal Facebook messages. RBC, a number of companies have bought the rights to invade your privacy and read what you send to your friends and family and lovers. So let's not act like these people have any fucking integrity. It's not like Mark Zuckerberg is taking a stand for freedom of expression. He doesn't give a fuck. He just wants to make money. That's all he cares about.
Comes goose-stepping into a restaurant and starts threatening other customers. And
Sorry, I interrupted him there. Let's go back a little bit.
If a neo-Nazi comes goose-stepping into a restaurant and starts threatening other customers and saying he wants to kill Jews, would the owner of the restaurant, a private business, be required to serve him an elegant 8-course meal? Of course not. The restaurant owner has every legal right, and indeed I would argue a moral obligation, to kick that Nazi out.
I'm sorry, I know I'm pausing this a lot. I know I'm giving a lot of commentary. Fair use. But I'd just like to point out how ridiculous that scenario was. Notice he said, if a neo-Nazi walks into a restaurant and starts abusing people, does the restaurant owner have to... Well, if an average Joe, if literally anyone, if Sacha Baron Cohen walks into a restaurant and starts yelling at people and abusing customers, the owner's going to kick him out. You just had to say neo-Nazi to justify it, because if you said, hey, if a neo-Nazi, let me give you a more plausible scenario, Cohen. If a neo-Nazi walks into a restaurant, he politely sits down at his table and waits to be served and never bothers anyone. He eats his meal, he leaves a $5 tip, and he walks out the door. Is the owner obligated to kick him out at any point? Should the owner kick him out because he thinks he's a neo-Nazi? What if a Jewish gentleman, what if a rabbi walks into a restaurant and starts abusing people and starts yelling at people? Is the owner even allowed to kick that rabbi out? Is he even allowed? Or is he going to have the ADL crawling up his ass for kicking out an abusive piece of garbage just because he happens to be a rabbi? Is that going to happen? Again, you just smear. So
do these internet companies.
Disgusting.
Now, third,
disgusting.
Mark Zuckerberg seemed to equate regulation
Sebastian Gorka
like
drop.
to the actions of the most repressive societies. Incredible. This from one of the 6 people who decide what information so much of the world sees. Zuckerberg at Facebook, Sundar Pichai at Google, at its parent company, Alphabet, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, Brin's ex-sister-in-law, Susan Wojcicki at YouTube, and Jack Dorsey at Twitter. The Silicon Six. All billionaires, all Americans who care more about boosting their share price than about protecting democracy.
Now, I want you to take note of what he's doing here. This is a counter-signal to capitalism. Now, ignore the ethnic element for a moment. Just put that to the side. Think about what he's doing. Think about the dichotomy of Sacha Baron Cohen versus Mark Zuckerberg. 2 people who are, ethnically indistinguishable. But the contrast you see between these 2 people perfectly encapsulates the kosher sandwich theory. Perfectly. I'll explain what I mean later on.
This is ideological imperialism. 6 unelected individuals in Silicon Valley imposing their vision on the rest of the world. unaccountable to any government and acting like they're above the
Their vision of letting people say what they
like
want
we're living
and
in
not
the Roman Empire,
crushing everyone
Mark
that
Zuckerberg is Caesar.
dissents.
At least that would explain his haircut.
Now,
Now, here's an idea. Instead of letting the Silicon Six decide the fate of the world, let our elected representatives
let's let Mossad
by
decide.
the people of
Let's let the
every democracy in the world
ADL
have
decide.
at least some say. Fourth, Zuckerberg speaks of welcoming a diversity of ideas. And last year he gave us an example. He said that he found posts denying the Holocaust deeply offensive, but he didn't think Facebook should take them down because I think there are things that different people get wrong. At this very moment, there are still Holocaust deniers on Facebook. And
I'm going to say I've had my account banned multiple times for even light criticisms of that narrative. So yeah, I'm going to have to press X to doubt on that one. I'm not 100% sure about that. But like, what do you want him to do? He can't stop people murdering people on his platform. I think that Zuckerberg really just wants to maintain as much like leniency as possible because he knows that he can't really curate his content. Like Cohen brings up the murder thing, like he'll talk about the Christchurch shooting, but yeah, let's just play it.
Still takes you to the most repulsive Holocaust denial sites with a simple click. One of the heads of Google, in fact, told me that these sites just show both sides of the issue.
Oh God! Oh God!
Edward
Oh
R.
God!
Murrow. One cannot accept that there are on every story two equal and logical sides to an argument. We have, unfortunately, millions of pieces of
Our side is
evidence
the only one. Our side is the only one, and how dare you ever question it?
It is an historical fact. And denying it is not...
An historical fact. It is an historical fact. This man graduated from Cambridge. I don't think I don't want to give you a grammar lesson here, Mr. Cohen, but it should be a historical fact, actually. That's how it's supposed to be.
Those who deny the Holocaust aim to encourage another one.
What? How does that follow? What the fuck? Saying that something didn't happen, it means you... Okay, so if I say that, I don't even need to do it, but you know that doesn't make sense. You know that doesn't make sense. That's bullshit. Come on. They aim to encourage another one.
Still,
another
Zuckerberg
one.
says that people should decide what is credible, not tech companies.
Yeah, maybe.
At a time when 2/3 of millennials say that they haven't even heard of Auschwitz, how are they supposed to know what's credible?
Oh, you're too stupid, Goyam. You're too stupid to know what's credible. Let us tell you.
There is such a thing as objective truth. Facts do exist. And if these internet companies really want to make a difference,
the USS Liberty did
exist. They should hire
exist.
enough monitors to actually monitor. Work closely with groups like the ADL and the NAACP, insist on facts, and purge these lies and conspiracies from their platforms.
Why should people trust you when you have organizations like TPUSA? Charlie Kirk accused a questioner of promoting conspiracy theory when he brought up the USS Liberty. There is a USS Liberty Veterans Foundation, and these people are devoted to finding out what really happened that day. There are one of the Israeli pilots that said, yeah, I knew it was an American vessel. I reported that to ground control. He was arrested in Israel. These people, the people that survived that horrible fucking attack, were threatened with court-martial and imprisonment if they told even their wives. And that's a conspiracy theorist. We have survivors that can attest to this. People that we know, that we can prove were in the military, were on that vessel. And yet, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Don't promote that on our platform. These fuckers want to tell you what's true and what isn't. These people they want to be the arbiters of what's real news and what's conspiracy theory. Ben Shapiro will tell you to this day that if you think Epstein didn't kill himself, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. Again, these people want to dictate what you can see. If that doesn't disgust you, you have no brain.
Now, fifth,
Sick.
when discussing the difficulty of removing content, Mark Zuckerberg asked, where do you draw the line? Yes, drawing the line can be difficult.
Drawing the line.
But here's what
Is
he's
he
really
Mikey
saying.
Enoch now?
Removing more of these lies and conspiracies
I shouldn't have said his
is
name.
just too expensive. These are the richest companies in the world,
Yeah.
and they have the best engineers in the world. They could fix these problems if they wanted to. Twitter could deploy an algorithm to remove more white supremacist hate speech.
So it could become more like Facebook. You just want Twitter to become Facebook and Facebook to become more like Facebook. Got it.
But they have reportedly haven't, because it would eject some very prominent politicians from their platform.
So we need to eject the politicians.
Maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Sorry, voice
The
kind of
truth
broke
is, these companies won't fundamentally change because their entire business model relies on generating more engagement, and nothing generates more engagement
Money.
than lies, fear, and outrage.
Money.
So it's time to
I'm
finally
out
call
to
these
make
companies
money. I
what they
love
really
money.
are, the largest publishers in history. So here's an idea for them.
Publishers.
Abide by basic standards
Hold
of-
on. You've been talking about platforms this whole time. What was that? What did you just say?
So it's time to finally call these companies what they really are, the largest publishers in history.
Ooh, so there was a smooth transition from platform to publisher. Now, because as everyone knows, this is the push that these people have been making to make every platform a publisher. Because if you publish something, if you publish it, then you're responsible for it. So in other words, Facebook, Twitter, all these social media companies are meant to be responsible for everything anyone on their platform says because they are technically publishing it. They're co-signing every tweet. They're co-signing everything that's said. And therefore, people like this should be able to curate everything on that platform and have total control. You understand how this is working?
So here's an idea for them. Abide by basic standards and practices, just like newspapers, magazines, and TV news do every day. We have standards and practices in television and the movies. There are certain things we cannot say or do. In England, I was told that Ali G could not curse when he appeared before 9 p.m. Here in the US, the Motion Picture Association of America regulates and rates what we see. I've had scenes in my movies cut or reduced to abide by those standards. Now, if there are standards and practices for what cinemas and television channels can show, then surely companies that publish material to billions of people should have to abide basic standards and practices too.
So, okay. So you're talking about movie ratings, and he said, oh, Ali G can't curse if he's being broadcast before 9 p.m. That is to protect children. We are protecting our children. We have very few mechanisms through which to do this, thanks to people like you, by the way. Look up the history between Hollywood and the Catholic Church and what they did to try to break the church and the propaganda that they used to vilify the church. These people have been at war with Christendom forever, and the bare bones that we have left to protect the most vulnerable people in our society, this wretched piece of garbage, this cretin, tries to use as justification to stomp on the rest of us. Well, I mean, if you're going to say that I can't show anal fisting to a 10-year-old, then we should be able to censor your political speech there. You know, if you're gonna set that standard, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with me being able to tell you to shut the fuck up. Eat a dick. Eat a fucking dick, Sacha.
Take the issue of political ads, on which Facebook have been resolute. Fortunately, Twitter finally banned them. And Google, today I read, is making changes too. But if you pay them, Facebook will run any political ad you want, even if it's a lie.
They will literally... Have you seen Wish.com? Have you seen what they will publish anything for money. Yes, they will do any... Mark Zuckerberg will do anything for money. Is that Joe Bernstein, the guy from MDE? Sam Hyde used to say, that guy will do anything for money. That is Mark Zuckerberg. That is the contrast.
And they'll even help you micro-target those lies to their users for maximum effect. Under
For
this
money.
twisted logic, if Facebook were around in the 1930s, it would have allowed Hitler to post 30-second ads on his solution to the Jewish problem. So here's a good standard.
Hitler didn't
practice.
need money.
Facebook. Start fact-checking political ads before you run them.
You people do.
Stop micro-targeted lies immediately. And when the ads are false, give back the money and don't publish them.
And you lost him at give back the money.
Here's another good practice. Slow down. Every single post does not need to be published immediately. Oscar Wilde once said, "We live in an age when unnecessary things are our only necessity."
You know, as someone who's impersonated a journalist, I think you might have a little more insight into this than you do. Oh, it doesn't need to be published immediately. We should go through every single tweet. Do you know how many people are on Facebook? Do you have any idea what that would take to curate every single thing with every human being? It's insane. You're insane. You're stupid. You don't understand how this works. That's why they use AIs, dumbass.
But let me ask you, is having every thought or video posted instantly online, even if it's racist or criminal or murderous, really a necessity?
Fucking
Of
peak
course
boomer.
not. The shooter who massacred Muslims in New Zealand live streamed his atrocity on Facebook, where it then spread across the internet and was viewed likely millions of times. It was a snuff film brought to you by social media.
Yeah, cartel hits have been on there forever. Dude, murder, I've seen so much murder and gore and like horrible stuff on Facebook. Yeah, that stuff's been around forever. It's interesting that you bring up Christchurch. It's interesting that you bring up, that one case that a lot of people have called into question. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I promoting conspiracy theories now? I'm sorry. But yeah, that seemed a little bit wishy-washy. But it's interesting that you bring up they always bring up the cases where a white guy killed minorities. Oh God, you don't want to talk about the cartels. You don't want to talk about all the cartel hits, the decapitations with chainsaws and machetes that have been broadcast over Facebook. Because I've seen plenty of those. Oh, but those are I'm sorry, am I promoting a Hispanic invasion conspiracy now? You don't want those beautiful, culturally enriching individuals into your country? You must be a horrible racist. He doesn't want to bring up those people because he wants more of those people flooding our countries.
Why can't we have more of a delay so that this trauma-inducing filth can be caught and stopped before it's posted in the first place?
Maybe we should stop your filth before it's broadcast to people in the first
Zuckerberg
place.
said that social media companies should live up to their responsibilities. But he's totally silent about what should happen when they don't. By now, it's pretty clear they cannot be trusted to regulate themselves. As with the Industrial Revolution, it's time for regulation and legislation to curb the greed of these high-tech robber barons. In every other industry, a company can be held liable when their product is defective. When engines explode or seatbelts malfunction, car companies recall tens of thousands of vehicles at a cost of billions of dollars. It only seems fair to say to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, your product is defective. You are obliged to fix it, no matter how much it costs, and no matter how many moderators you need to employ.
So again, what does this sound like? We want to incur more costs into the corporate, and I'm not saying I'm against this, but these are very socialist ideas, aren't they? Almost communist. They want to seize the means of communication. They want the government to step in and decide what you can say on the internet. Why? Again, I'm talking about a sandwich here. Making a nice ham sandwich here.
Every other
You're gonna see the mayonnaise.
Other industry, you can be
You're gonna be
sued for
cumin
the harm
mayonnaise
you
all
cause.
over the sandwich.
Publishers can be sued for libel. People can be sued for defamation. I've been sued
Very
many
rarely
times.
that happens.
I'm being sued right now by someone whose name I won't mention because he might sue me again.
Yeah, a lot of you people seem to be sued. You know, I remember Mr. Charles Kushner being sued a lot for certain things.
But social media companies are largely protected from liability for the content their users post, no matter how indecent it is, by Section 230 of, get ready for it, the Communications Decency Act. It's absurd.
I should have looked into that before I played this video, but that sounds like maybe I'm wrong about this, but is that the Telecommunications Act that was put in place because a priest heard something he didn't like on the radio? And again, he's protesting, I'm just going by the name of it, the Telecommunications Decency Act. Why does someone like this want to protest a decency act? Well, it's probably for the same reason he doesn't like video ratings. He doesn't like the censorship that he's incurred, because he wants to broadcast filth, smut to children while complaining that, oh God, white people are sharing edgy memes on Twitter, we gotta shut it down.
Fortunately, internet companies can now be held responsible for pedophiles who use their site to target children.
Don't bring that
So
up.
I say,
You are the
let's
one
also
targeting
hold
children.
These companies responsible for those who use their sites to advocate for the mass murder of children because of their race or religion.
Did you speak out about Epstein? Did you ever speak out about? Do you want to talk about that Mossad-led? Yeah, what we know about Ghislaine Maxwell, her father Robert Maxwell, and their involvement with Israeli intelligence. We know what you people are doing. You use stingrays. Even Noam Chomsky has admitted that the government of Israel has intervened far more than the Russians could ever dream of. So even your own intellectuals are aware of this and calling you out for it. You know, it's just your people have always been involved in this. You can look at literature for hundreds of years talking about the tribesmen abducting and ritually slaughtering and raping children over and over and over again. And this guy wants to try out children as he's promoting taking away the last vestiges of protection that we have for our own kids. And you know, just fucking beggars belief. How do you look yourself in the mirror? How do you live with yourself?
And maybe fines are not enough. Maybe it's time to tell Mark Zuckerberg and the CEOs of these
Here it
companies,
comes.
you already allowed one foreign power to interfere in our elections.
Oh,
you already
okay.
facilitated one genocide in Myanmar.
Oh, God.
Do it again and you go to jail.
Oh, so you do want to seize the means of communication. Send him to jail, take it over yourself. That's what he wants to do. That's what he fucking wants.
In the end,
And I'm not defending
it all
Mark
comes
Zuckerberg.
down to what kind of world we want. In his speech, Zuckerberg said that one of his main goals is to uphold as wide a definition of freedom of expression as possible. It sounds good. Yet our freedoms are not only an end in themselves, they're also the means to another end. As you say here in the US, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But today these rights are threatened by hate, conspiracies, and lies. So allow me to leave you with a suggestion for a different aim for society. The ultimate aim of society should be to make sure that people are not targeted, not harassed, and not murdered because of who they are, where they come from, who they love, or how they pray.
Okay. All right. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, eh? Those are all things that the ADL routinely steals from nationalists by doxing them, by harassing them, by getting them fired from their jobs and ostracized from their families. Talk to the family of Andrew Dodson about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Talk to any of the victims of the organization that you had the balls to speak before, to lend your voice to. You disgusting disgust me on every fucking level. And you want to replace the American dream, the thing that you suffocated, the thing that you destroyed with the aid of people. You know how many, I think there's only one of the 8 major Hollywood production companies that is not owned by one of the tribesmen. Only one, and he pretends to be. You know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Everyone in Washington is all about, you know, who's your dad? Where are you from? You know, they're all. It's an oligarchy. Look at Canada. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister. You know, the son of former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush. Bill Clinton was president, and now his wife is running constantly. It's the same names. It's the same people. I think Dick Cheney was even like cousins with Obama. You know, it's just fucking insane. It's the same people. It's all incestuous, and it's all the same. It's a cabal of people. And he wants to talk about democracy, and he wants to talk about the American dream, and he wants to replace it with bullshit terminology that does nothing but shield people like him from criticism. We shouldn't be targeted. People shouldn't be targeted for any reason whatsoever. Just capitulate. It's passivity. That's what he wants to replace the American dream with. The whole idea of America should be passivity. Allow as many people in as we want you to. Allow as whoever we want to control what you can say and who you can say it to, and what companies are owned by whom. We'll control all that. You just sit back and relax. You just sit back as an atomized individual, read Atlas Shrugged, and shut the fuck up. That's what he wants. So that they can, and notice that the difference between this man, I'm going to play the rest of this in a second, but the difference between Sacha Baron Cohen and Mark Zuckerberg is that Mark Zuckerberg cares about money. He is self-interested. Yes, he will do what he can to try to appease people like the ADL. He has done very much to do that. He is bent over backward to censor people like myself. Fine. Okay. That's terrible. Fuck him for that. But this guy says, you're not doing enough. We need to put you in jail and take your company and apply blanket restrictions on all of this. We need to use the government. We need to use laws to stop this. This is the kosher sandwich. The capitalists take over our companies and fill our heads full of lies. And then when we start to resist it and their clampdowns are not enough and their profit margins are getting in the way, the communists or the socialists of their tribe come over and they start saying, hey, fuck you. We don't care about money. We care about our own ethnic interests, and we're going to take your companies over and do this ourselves using the power of the state to squash these people. That's what this is about. This is, and you know what? Whether you're talking about Epstein, whether you're talking about Weinstein, any of these people, the big cracks in the system always come from infighting. It always comes from these people attacking each other because they reveal their secrets and they reveal their power when they do it. I want people to fucking show this video. Not my video necessarily, but this speech to everyone you know, because it exposes so much. There's so much here. There's so much bullshit and lies and manipulation and just flagrant, double standards and racism being applied here. It beggars belief, but it is primarily this speech is not aimed at us. It's not attacking us. It's not even attacking Donald Trump. This guy has spent most of the speech berating Mark Zuckerberg, a fellow one of his, because he's not doing enough to stop us. And what's funny is that it's not based on what they do, it's based on the result. Notice that? They don't go after people for not doing enough, they go after the people that are not getting the results they need. So when you stop getting the results they need, you get Epsteined, and then they deny it. That's what happens. And they want Epstein Mark Zuckerberg now.
If we make that our aim, if we prioritize truth over lies, tolerance over prejudice, empathy over indifference, and experts over ignoramuses, then maybe, just maybe, we can stop the greatest propaganda machine in history. We can save democracy. We can still have a place for free speech and free expression. And most importantly, my jokes will still work. Thank you very much.
And I don't want to make a joke that could get me banned, but I'm gonna pour some Clorox on the rocks now. That was fucking cancer. But if you managed to make it to the end of this video, I want to thank you very, very much. Very, very much. You're a special type of person. But fuck, this is. I'm gonna go scream now. Have a nice night.